We are here today to kick off our project to create our newest product concept, Right Away. My name is Martin Chin, and I will be presenting along with Cassius, Gennaro, Sarah, and Caleb. Each of us will talk to you more about some high-level aspects of our project. So first of all, a little background. So generally there's two types of riders that carry bags. One on the left is a rider that already has a permanent fixture in their bike in order to carry their luggage or bags. One on the right is one that carries a bag on their bike or another means other than a rack or a storage system in their bike. This is usually based on because they're too cheap to buy one, they hate how it looks on the bike, or they're just too lazy to use or get one in the first place. Our product will try to bridge the gap between these two and make it more ideal for both riders. So what's currently on the market? These two designs are a couple of the most common, which are both permanent and a hassle. It takes a long time to actually install it, as well as it doesn't come off. That's where our product is different. We want it to be removable, so if you're not carrying a bag while they ride, they can pull it off, leave it at home. If they are, they can put it on there nice and easily. It's hassle-free and improves the aesthetics of the bike by being able to take it on and off. So based on this, we have a scope. Our scope budget is $2.1 million with a schedule of 6 months. Thirdly, it must be removable, and that's how our product will be different from other products on the market. Now, the max weight of our product must be 2 pounds or less, with a minimum capacity of 30 liters or more. Our max manufacturing cost per item is $15, and this is when it's in mass production. Now we want to use only current personnel, no new hires, and only current manufacturing space. We might need new machinery, but only use current space. Then it must be compatible with Specialized, Trek, Giant, Schwinn, and all the common major bike brands. So from the scope, we create a work breakdown structure. For time, I'll show you only the high work breakdown structure and the four main categories that the money and work goes into. So Right Away itself is $2.1 million, and this is broken down in these four sections. Developing the project plan itself is about $250,000 would go into that. Management plan, process plan, communications plan, etc. Most money will go into developing the product. This is design, material selection, prototyping, testing, patent, etc. Then, once we have a final design, we will actually figure out how to manufacture the product at a large scale. And that's about $570,000 to go towards that. Then lastly, we have a team working on producing a marketing plan, how we're going to get to users, and how we get and who our focus groups will be. So now, Caleb will speak on our project integration and some quality metrics.
Thank you, Martin. I'm going to briefly cover integration of the various project processes and then dive into quality management aspects of the project. As a reminder, we're using a strong matrix organization structure. This was done to empower our project manager to push the project through to the 6-month deadline that we've given ourselves, and it aligns well with our existing company organization. Also, as a reminder, our project manager's authority stretches over schedule, budget, team selection, and allocation of resources throughout the lifetime of the project. He is also going to be acting as the chair of the Change Control Board, and we will need his sign-off for all deliverables produced throughout the work breakdown structure. In order to integrate the various processes of our project, we are going to be taking part in regular team meetings. Cassius will be speaking more specifically on this later, and as well as delivering milestone reports, quality checklists, and monthly risk reports. If in the event we have any changes to the scope or any aspects of the project, we're going to need to take that to the Change Control Board. I already mentioned that Martin Chin is going to be the chair of this board, but also our sponsors Elizabeth and Aditya will be acting as members of that board. Next, I would like to focus in on the quality metrics for our project. The quality metric for the Right Away product itself is 3 defects per million opportunities, or 6 sigma. This is widely accepted as an industry standard, and we want to make sure that we maintain that standard. Of course, this is for when the product is in production. We're going to have to spend time doing prototyping to analyze the product to ensure that this standard is met. We're always trying to improve our process, and we have some quality metrics for that. On-time performance and cost control are especially of interest. We're using a schedule performance index of 1 and a cost performance index of 1 to indicate whether or not we have met our standards or the goals that we have set for those different parts of the project. Quality checklists are at the heart of how we will actually meet those quality metrics. We'll need a checklist specifically for the design-oriented work packets, including authorizations, the signatures needed, design documents saved and backed up, the drawings quality controlled by project manager or subject matter expert, and then making sure we're on schedule and on track financially. We'll need a different quality checklist for the prototyping parts of our work packets, including experimental testing, use of Pareto diagrams, histograms, control charts, and various tools that we'll need to analyze that data, and then of course the final data analysis report being submitted, and keeping track of the financial and time budget. Next, my colleague Sarah is going to talk to you about time as well as risks for the project.
Thanks, Caleb. Today I'm going to be talking about time and risk. So, as we've covered time in previous presentations, I will only briefly touch on our schedule before we spend a little more time on the risks of our project. So, as a reminder, we have a short 6-month schedule. All the activities in our network diagram were taken from the WBS, and the times for those activities were calculated using analogous and 3-point estimation. At the end of this, we held 1 week in reserve in our schedule to reduce risk since we are on such a short timeline. And critical path monitoring is our technique that we'll be using to keep on schedule. So, as a reminder, here's our activity list. Important activities here include completing the final design of our product and getting manufacturing set up for production. And again, as a reminder, here's our network diagram. The critical path is highlighted here in gold, and activities already completed in the schedule are highlighted in green. So, moving onward into our risk management plan, our project manager, Martin, will ultimately be responsible for keeping track of the project risks. We will cover risks in our daily stand-up and send out monthly reports to our stakeholders. The 3 risk groups identified are external, design, and manufacturing. And the risks presented here today were identified because they could all cause large potential impacts to our schedule and budget. So here's the high-level summary of our risks along with their grouping and responses. We want to do our best to mitigate delays in our manufacturing and materials by getting started early on those activities, by acquiring things early, getting things set up early for the manufacturing space. We want to try and avoid design rework and being over under budget. These could have widespread effects across the project, especially design rework, which could cause us to have to reorder materials, change our profit margins, things like that could really affect the project. We are also working with a relatively small team, but if we find that we do have a shortage of employees, we are going to have to transfer that up to the company level and let them decide whether they want to reallocate more people to our project. And of course, a positive risk we could have is a high product demand. We might not fully understand the demand for our product, and in which case we will just have to accept this risk for the time being, as we won't have those resources to increase production. And here is our risk matrix. You can see impact running across the top and then probability running down the side. We don't believe we will have any risks in the high category, but we want to continuously monitor everything, of course, that might come up during the project. However, even with these risks, we think the project is going to be successful and a great addition to the company's product line. And I look forward to working with you in the coming months. Now to Gennaro to discuss cost and procurement. Thanks.
Thanks, Sarah. Cost and procurement are going to be absolutely essential in the overall success of our project, and therefore it is crucial that we all understand the approach and expectations associated with these 2 areas. The fact that our product is anticipated to capture 25% of the commuter cyclist market, we are projecting $5.6 million in company profits after year 3. Although our potential earnings are forecasted to be quite advantageous, we need to keep in mind that the $2.1 million in project funding is completely coming from our company's free cash flow. This means that the budget will need to be closely monitored and controlled to meet project baselines. This will especially be important in the design and development of the right-of-way product, as 43% of the budget has been allocated to this effort. Earned value and Monte Carlo analysis will be the 2 primary tools that will aid our team in the evaluation of our cost and budget. Our Monte Carlo model allows us to compare expected costs with actual costs and lets us see how any variations can affect our future budget. A sample of cost variances can be seen on the bottom left portion of the slide. Likewise, earned value analysis will be implemented to represent how the budget is progressing, the efficiency of associated funds, our remaining costs, and anticipated total project costs at completion. An example of EVA for prototyping can be seen on the upper right-hand side of the screen. These two methods will be performed on a monthly basis, and all team members and stakeholders will be provided with the reports. A risk mitigation plan will be assigned if your associated subject area requires attention. A big part of our project is going to be dependent on the procurement of small subcomponents such as zippers, fasteners, connectors, and cloth. Due to the fact that our company prides itself on utilizing recycled materials, all subcomponents must come from licensed vendors that exclusively produce green products. These components are anticipated to cost $120,000 plus or minus 20%. This large contingency range is based on company experience with the availability and demand of environmentally friendly, reusable products. I would like to introduce the Right-of-Way procurement team. The company procurement office will be responsible for the final selection of all vendors. The project manager will approve any non-fundamental procurements over $1,000, so please remember to go through Martin before a submission is made to the procurement office. Caleb, Sarah, and Gennaro will be the procurement specialists for this project. Their procurement concentrations can be seen in the chart provided. Please keep these people in mind if additional procurements need to be made. The procurement office will use the request for proposal process and firm fixed price contracts to ensure all project schedule, cost, and performance deliverables are being met. The project manager will be responsible for conducting continuous procurement reviews and will keep the records management system up to date in pursuance of gaining lessons learned for future projects. If anyone acquires deficient parts, please contact Martin at the procurement office immediately. Thank you for your time, and I will now hand it over to my teammate Cassius to discuss resource management and communication.
Thanks, Gennaro. I'm Cassius Hartle, and I'll be speaking about resource management and communication. The project resources for Right-of-Way are current employees and equipment that is in the building and available for use. The full-time project team has been presenting today, so I won't introduce them, but they will be involved through the entire duration of the project, and the part-time support will be on an as-needed basis since everyone has so many things going on already. I'd like to take a few moments to introduce Scott, Francine, Tyler, and Nathan. You guys could stand up for a minute so everyone can put faces to names. Awesome, thank you. The equipment listed here will primarily be used near the end of the project as we begin to build prototypes, as we complete strength and load testing, and as we commission the equipment so the handoff to operations is as smooth as possible. Aditya has graciously offered to rearrange the schedule and has offered a few hours each week on the automatic variable textile threading and reinforcement machine, or Avatar as everyone calls it. We'd like to give a quick shout out to her for rearranging all the schedules for us so that we can make sure our design will work on the large scale production level. So thank you, Aditya. The key throughout the entire project, and it will be the glue that holds everything together. We'll be following the standard meeting requirements for the project team and support, and all functional managers are aware of the priority of this project and have agreed to the project request to make sure we meet the deadlines. So please escalate any conflicts to Martin so the project schedule is not delayed. Internal stakeholders will have the standard bi-weekly meeting to talk about cost and schedule, but we're asking that the cost and schedule is reviewed prior to the meeting so the meetings are more productive and people can just bring feedback that they have. We are also piloting a new website and mobile application for feedback throughout the project, and a major part of the success of this project will be from the feedback of employees. We're going to have a tablet set up that you can take pictures and comment on different areas of the product once the prototypes are built. And then we'll also have the mobile application for any giveaways or prototype testing that we have. Any questions we can take now? But if not, feel free to send questions later to rideaway@ride.com. The project team will answer those as soon as they're able. And make sure to grab your project shirt as you exit or from Martin in the next week. Thanks again, everyone.